Broadcasting from the Meredith Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are my fantastic colleagues, Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. Gentlemen, Super Bowl Sunday was an instant classic. Big Rich, what were your observations?
Well, first of all, it's always a sad day when the Super Bowl's over because football's over. And during this season, 2022-23 season, I first want to commend my colleagues. Joe the Answer, what were you, 67%? I'm going to give you the notch. I'm going to give you 67 against the spread, which is amazing in any type of sports betting. And the Gator Analytics all year, Gator did a great job. And
thank you, Big Rig.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, getting started. Let's talk about Super Bowl 57 a little bit. Joe, I know we had a little bit of a disagreement over at the Why Not last week of who was going to be the winner and who was going to do great. And I think we have to commend both teams. 57 was a classic, and Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurst, obviously the two best quarterbacks in the league right now. Maybe Joe Burrow close third. But I'm going to give you guys, it was a 30.
No Josh Allen?
Josh Allen. Come on, Josh Allen's a thing of the past. You can't get past the big Patrick Mahomes. He can't even carry his lunch pail to the stadium. So I'm going to tell you this right here. It was 38-35. So, Joe, with your great analytics and math skills, that is how many points?
73?
73 points. So I'm going to tell you guys. Sink or swim.
Okay.
That is the second highest score in Super Bowl history.
I say the highest.
Well, let's see, that's 73. Let's see, Dallas was 69 against the Bills. Yep, I have to say that was the highest of all time.
It was third highest, gentlemen. It was the third highest. And so you guys both sunk on that. I had to go to the last show finally to sink Joe the answer on this. But obviously, the number one was San Diego, where San Francisco hung 49.
And then
49-26.
Exactly. So 76, 75. And then the next one was
Washington Broncos.
The Philadelphia Eagles. But that wasn't this year, but it was when they played against Tom Brady in that classic game where it was 40-something, 30-something. That was 70.
41-35.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Damn,
that's the Philly special.
Damn.
The Philly special, that's right. Where
that's right,
if
Joe.
Tom
Good
Brady had
job.
the football, he would have it one more time. He probably would have had another Super Bowl ring.
That's right.
But,
I blocked those two Super Bowls out of my mind because
So
those
did
are
I.
two teams I despise, so I forgot about them.
well, I mean, Philadelphia won, Joe, and you picked them, so how can you despise them?
Well, in that game, I liked New England back in the day.
Okay, well, okay. All right, Joe, all right. I thought you were despising on Philadelphia. But let's get to Super Bowl
I'm going to
57.
get to that now.
But let's talk a little bit about Patrick Mahomes' magical comeback, down by 10. The second team only to go down by 10 by your New England Patriots. Tom Brady also did that against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, the Washington Redskins came back down 10 against the Denver Broncos, scored them 42-0.
Right, we don't talk about that here in Denver land. We don't talk about that game. But seriously, we know, Joe, let's give me a little bit of stats on the game. I know you got a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to step into your 67% prediction. You got the floor, buddy.
Well, I'll say during the playoffs, I didn't do 67%. I kind of cooled off a little bit, but that's the thing. The playoffs, you're going to have good teams against good teams. Right. In regular season, you're looking for good teams against bad teams. Well, there's no bad teams in the playoffs. So it is a little more difficult. So I commend you for nailing the spread. And
saying it was a 3-point game and that the field goal kicker would win the game on a field goal at the end. I mean, I was pretty much
right.
You were right on it. You were right on it.
And I did tell you on the 8th day, God did create Patrick Mahomes, and then so I was right on that. But there's some other things we were wrong on, Joe. I mean, let's talk about that defense in Philadelphia sacks.
Oh my God, yes, that's what we thought.
We both gave the nod that they would have the best rushing game. Didn't we say that Philadelphia had the nod on the rushing game?
They were supposed to.
They were supposed to.
Yeah, but they didn't.
But they didn't. And we said Jalen Hurst was not even in the same category of Patrick Mahomes. Well, we said that obviously
they were both going for MVP.
Well, if you look at the numbers,
yeah,
Jalen Hurst's number, and I'll let you get into that, Joe.
Well, of course, Jalen Hurts missed 2 games this year also,
right.
So his numbers weren't going to be as good.
But I'm talking about in the Super Bowl, his numbers, 305 yards passing.
Those were amazing numbers, yes.
Led his team in rushing also.
Yes, well, Philly with Hurts was the better team all year. And if you looked at the overall statistics in the Super Bowl, you'd think the Eagles had won the game. Philly outgained KC by 77 yards. They ran 20 more plays, possessed the ball 11 and a half more minutes than the Chiefs.
Right.
If you had just looked at the box score, you'd say Philly won this game.
But then if you looked at the coaching staff, you would say that Andy Reid coached a brilliant game, not playing the shootout game. He ran the ball. He played good. He Mahomes didn't have to do it with his arms. They ran the ball. He did enough to get the MVP. Thank you very much. The MVP paid a plus 130. So if you took that $100 bet like everybody else, you got a $230 payday. Because if you took Kansas City just to win, it would have been plus 102.
Yes.
But we nailed that anyway at the Why Not. You guys asked who was the better coach, and by far it was Andy Reid.
Right.
By far.
Yes, Mahomes MVP award, but who really deserved it, I thought was the offensive line, but you can't really give the MVP to 5 guys. But if you could, you would do it in this case. They did run for 158 yards, held the Eagles to 0 sacks. That is just unbelievable. This is the same Eagles team that led the league with 70 sacks.
Comparing them to the 85 Bears.
Pretty much.
And
they had 4 different players with at least 10 sacks each in a total of 0. And running the ball, I mean, they were the MVPs.
But Joe, I want to go. Yeah, you're exactly right. But I want to say that why can't we just give the whole offensive line the MVP?
Why can't you?
They play as a team anyway. They go to practice, they're a team. You ask any one of them, they're not individual.
Well, maybe Patrick Mahomes should have took him to the whole lineman to Disneyland instead of his family, and it would have been much well deserved that those guys could have got a good day at Disneyland.
Amen to that.
Well,
exactly.
Harvey Martin and Randy White did share the MVP award in the Super Bowl,
right.
So it has happened before where more than one guy gets it.
Well, it has been. That would be most valuable players, maybe.
Yes, but really the game boiled down to just a few plays. There was only one turnover, but it was brutal. The Eagles had 3rd and inches to go, 10 minutes left, second quarter, their own 45 or so. And, they could have easily got a quarterback sneak, but they got a false start, 3rd and 6. They decide to throw the ball, and Jalen Hurts just flat out drops the ball.
Well, he got it knocked out. It was the great defense. He was feeling the pressure coming. And Nick Bolton scoop and score? Can you tell me that definitely changed the game along with the punt return from Kadarius Toney?
Changed the game because Philly was dominating the game at that point. Still led 24-14 at halftime, but time of possession was 22 minutes to 8. It should have been 24-7, except for that one play. Maybe the Chiefs don't run the ball as much in the second half if they're down 17.
They have
it's
to
a possibility.
come back. That's a very good observation, Joe.
Okay, well, thank you. That's one. After the Chiefs took that lead 28-7, like you mentioned, that punt, the Eagles punter was hurt, and he comes into that game. Their backup punter had been playing. This guy couldn't punt as good as their backup punter because that was a bad punt there. And he hits that low liner, and it's returned 65 yards. That's a Super Bowl record.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's never been a punt return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I think,
That's
and they were
really
complaining
amazing,
about how
actually.
the field conditions was. Well, the field condition was perfect in Kadarius Toney because he was juking everybody out on the way and running across the field. He probably ran for 140 yards of running back and forth on the field. So
A little bit Barry Sanders, huh?
very much. I think Kadarius Toney has a great future with the Kansas City Chiefs to come. I think he's going to get a good contract.
And, of course, the third play, the defensive holding call with a minute left, made a huge difference.
That was bad, Joe.
That was flat-out criminal at that point. The timing, just unbelievable. There was worse not called earlier in the game, and it was the only defensive holding penalty in the entire game, and it decided the outcome.
You got hosed.
Yeah, I would say so. And penalties enforced were Philadelphia 6 and Kansas City 3. So if Philly wants to complain about the refereeing, I can understand it. And
Most losers do.
Oh,
there's always
good one, Big Richard. Good one.
yes.
Oh, that was good.
Yes, and if cows had balls, they'd be bulls. No doubt about it.
Well, we know we have a problem with officiating. We've talked about it all year long on the show. I think we'll have some better going to do some things in the offseason. We'll see, and we'll talk about that throughout the season when they make some changes.
I do have to give credit to Mahomes for playing hurt, though. He supposedly suffered a high ankle sprain just 3 weeks prior, and sure seemed he re-aggravated it late in the first half.
Right.
I mean, if he wasn't that hurt, that's the biggest snow job since Mount Everest. I mean,
Okay. Well, I can tell you, everybody in Kansas City, when he started limping, had a big lump in their throat, because if he goes down, that's a total different ballgame.
Was he faking it?
Absolutely not.
to a degree, maybe?
To a degree?
I don't know.
Hey, it's the Super Bowl. Why not?
You saying he did the fake leg
Hey,
injury?
wait, whatever gets me that trophy gets me that trophy.
The way he was running,
Patrick
in that,
Mahomes alone gets you the trophy. He doesn't need to fake an injury.
the way he ran in that second
This
half.
isn't a soccer game where you fake the injury there.
We'll get to that a little bit later.
Okay, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Well, of course, the other huge story in Nevada sportsbooks was the entire system shutting down.
Wasn't that fun?
Gator, what happened?
Okay, well, I know. Y'all are listening out there. Look, you guys, when you have a bunch of information going through the system, only so much information can go through those tubes. So when you have like 2 people trying to get through a door, you can walk through it. But when you have 20, 30, 40 people trying to get through a door, nobody's going to get through that door because it's all blocked up. And the system goes down. That's what happened.
Well, maybe we shouldn't have 2,000 prop bets.
In live betting.
Well, live betting is a part of
Yeah.
sports, and that's the enjoyment of it. I mean, I don't think you can bet second half. I mean, with Mahomes going out with that injury, you could say that maybe William Hill pulled the plug and said, we don't need to see the... I mean, Kansas City
no. You
comes
guys
out.
are acting like William Hill did it on purpose. Come on, you guys. You know how much money they didn't make because of that?
Or how much they're not going to make in the
So it's
future
not
because no one's going to bet with them.
Exactly. So no, you guys are wrong on that. It's not like they did it on purpose or anything like that. And as much as props are right now, that's like the new fad right now. Women's shoes, bags, things like that. You know, it's a new fad, and everybody's DraftKings and all those that are online. They're all talking about props. That's what everybody's betting. So of course their books are going to.
Well, the thing is, if you don't have Gator, the people can't get paid. If you were just visiting in Nevada and you have to leave and you still can't cash out your ticket, or if you have it on your phone,
you can.
Well, you can't.
You can mail it in.
Okay, but if you have it on your phone and you were here betting, and then you have to go back to a state that does not allow gambling, they cannot cash your tickets because they
can mail it to you.
They would have to mail it to you.
Correct.
Well, so there's money still locked in accounts. That seems kind of criminal. I'd say the sign says out there, mobile access unavailable, no withdrawals or deposits. That's like going to a casino, hitting a jackpot, and then the casino says, we'll pay you later. That's illegal, by the way, and maybe William Hill is just being cheap. I don't know.
Well, the
just
thing
going
is, they've been bought by Caesars. Is that correct? I think that Caesars did buy them out, so I think there's going to be some heads rolling in that that department,
Well,
and they'll
maybe
get it squared away. Maybe they'll let Peyton Manning and Eli Manning run it because they run the Caesars sportsbook. So
The equipment might be a little outdated, maybe is what I'm trying to say.
I'm trying to say it's fiber optics. Probably, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on.
But the timing was super interesting because 2 minutes left in the first half, he gets re-injured, and then the system goes out, and potentially almost everybody's going Philadelphia and under
Right.
at that point. So that would have been the in-play bet or the halftime bet. And it was out until 2 p.m. Monday in the sports books.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they finally got it going.
Yes.
So as we look into the one thing I'll add to this
Okay.
is on Monday after the Super Bowl. I know we want to go a little bit more, but Monday after the Super Bowl, 18.8 million people called in sick.
That's great.
So it has to be
No
considered.
doubt.
When you bet the overs, everybody's drinking, having fun, and obviously 18.8. I did go to work, and I almost got fired because I did go to work because I was very
That's
hungover.
great.
I was very hungover, but I did go. And probably should have stayed home.
15 million of those could have been Eagle fans. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
Because they felt sick at the end of that that penalty call.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So Gator, were there any substantial wagers made on the Super Bowl this year?
Okay, we had a few of them, Joe. We had Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern in New York. Caesars took a $2.2 million bet on the Eagles -1.5. Now, that was the largest bet legally, Joe. I have no clue illegally.
Right, we'll get into that.
But they also took in 2 other bets that were over $1 million. Both of them were on Philly as well. So, DraftKings reported a $1.68 million bet on the Chiefs at a plus 3.5 minus 168. Caesars in Nevada had a patron that placed $800,000 on a Kansas City money line at a plus 110 about an hour and a half right before kickoff. Now, Caesars also had 70% of the point spread money was on Philly. And on Friday, points bet were at an 81% Philly, and then Sunday it actually dropped to 67%. BetMGM had 2 different $1 million bets. Now, what's funny about them is that both of those were on Philly, by the way. But what's funny about that is that the last year's Super Bowl, they had 7 different bets that were on the Rams and Bengals that were over $1 million. Now, both South Point and Westgate dropped their lines to a pick'em right before the kickoff, and the public did load up on that Travis Kelce props, Joe.
Right. Travis Kelce did score a touchdown, but I believe the catches were 7.5, so it actually went under on that.
Yeah, but it went over the 80 yards. It was
Over
70,
the 80
so,
yards, okay.
So it did go over. So no matter how you bet it. But the thing is about this,
most of the big money was on Philadelphia.
And if you bet that on Philly, you should have took Jalen Hurst at the plus 130 for MVP. He obviously he got 4 touchdowns at 300 yards. He was getting the MVP, right?
Right.
So why would
Exactly,
you take it?
exactly.
Why would you take it at 110 when you get it minus 110 when you can get it at plus 130?
Well, that's a good strategy. I suppose it could have been somebody else who got the MVP, but you're right. It almost always goes to a quarterback.
Almost always does. Last year, didn't it? It went to the wide receiver for the Rams. He beat out Aaron Donald, which
that's
I think
right.
so.
Okay. So, yes, 1 in 5 people here in America, 50 million people, bet on the Super Bowl. $16 billion, which was twice as much as last year. 15 million of it illegal.
Okay.
That's a 61% increase over last year, and 10 to 15% of those wagers were live wagers. So that got shut down right around halftime. There were some interesting props that hit. My favorite was will a missed field goal or extra point hit an upright? That hit at plus 425, and it happened.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, so that was a really good one.
That one cost me because I'll talk about it in the host section.
Oh, sorry about that. Some interesting things that occurred that hadn't happened in a while. For the first time in 9 years, the team that won the coin toss actually won the game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, yeah, I lost on that. For the first time since 1999 and first time in 9 tries, the regular season MVP, Patrick Mahomes, won the Super Bowl. That's not supposed to happen. And Jalen Hurts became the first quarterback in Super Bowl history to throw for 300 yards and account for 4 touchdowns and then lose the game. Yeah,
that is amazing. That is amazing.
Good things. The national anthem, sung by Chris Stapleton. Excellent. Greg Olson, excellent analyst for Fox.
Right.
Bad, the condition of the field. Terrible, especially after the halftime show. Players changing cleats. The halftime show itself I found to be kind of disgusting. The performers kind of grabbing themselves.
Not just you, Joe. A lot of people did.
Yourself.
A lot of people did.
Joe wasn't the only one grabbing himself?
Joe was not the only one grabbing himself. No.
Especially for children. I didn't like that.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
And the indifferent, the Super Bowl ads, they sold out early for $7 million each for a 30-second spot.
Woohoo!
That's a lot of money.
Maybe we should get in that industry.
We'll talk about Greg Olson. I thought McKinnon, he called it out on McKinnon sliding at the end of that game because I think if you give Jalen Hurts the ball back, I think he comes down, probably scores a touchdown.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
So that was a great call, and I think Olson was all over that call. I thought that was good.
Yes.
Yes.
He deserves to be the number 1 guy on Fox. And when
Tom Brady will be the new
when
number
he comes,
1, yeah.
Well, he's taken this year off, and then the following year,
They say, Greg, get out of my chair.
How do we know Brady is going to be any good at it?
He's good at everything. What are you talking about? Okay, anyway.
Okay. Well, other NFL news before we move on. Philadelphia's offensive coordinator Shane Steichen is now Indianapolis's head coach, and Philly's defensive coordinator John Gannon is Arizona's head coach.
So what are they going to do now, Joe?
Replace them. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you can replace coordinators, but it's good. It's interesting seeing Blaney or Spagnolia didn't get a job after that, and they were the winning. They've been in the Super Bowl 2 out of 4 years, won Super Bowl 2 out of 4 years. Then they're 3 out of the 4 years, and they go with these young hires like we talked about. But I mean, I think with the Andy Reid tree, I'm going to stay with that type of coach. Anyway, that's interesting to see about that. The pick that he's going to the Colts. I wonder if they will move up in the draft because they don't have a quarterback there.
Right.
He did a great job. Again, that Spinach, is that Steichen?
Steichen.
He did a great job with Jalen Hurst with a mobile quarterback. Maybe they can get a good quarterback and move up and get one of these mobile quarterbacks in the draft, or maybe try to get a Lamar Jackson trade going on, something in that.
That would even be better, I think. I like that idea. Get Lamar Jackson, why not?
Well,
your offense is already set up for that.
So that's something interesting to see.
Of course,
and Jonathan Gannon, I think, is going to have the same problem that he had with Russell Wilson in Denver. As he goes out there now, he's going to have to try, Kyler Murray.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be a big challenge.
Big Richard, do you like a Carr going to Carolina?
Well, Carr is now officially a free agent. He can go where he wants to.
But do you like him at Carolina, you personally?
I like him in the New York Jets. I think
that's
a perfect step for him. The Jets are a top 5 defense.
Yeah, I've had a lot
and they have
of
a great offensive line, and they have a great running back. I think that he probably
What do you think, Joe? Where would you like to see him at?
And pretty darn good receivers. They're just very young.
Garrett Wilson. And
I have no problem with him being at the Jets. I would rather him there than Indianapolis or Carolina.
I just don't see him going to the Jets. I just don't see it.
No? Okay. I
think he's going to Carolina is my guess.
He is interviewed already with, I think, Carolina.
And the Saints, right?
And the Saints. But he is not officially.
But I don't see him going to the
Jets.
Saints.
He made the comment last year. So Robert Slay said he wanted a veteran quarterback, and he's not more veteran quarterback than
Derek Carr.
Exactly, I agree.
And they flat out said, they were willing to trade for him, and now they don't have to. So this is really
40
perfect.
40 million reasons why they didn't want to trade him.
Exactly.
Guaranteed money he got by releasing him. So that was a great
correct.
As far as Philly losing their coordinators, I don't expect Philly to be great next year. It's been like 22 years since an NFC East team has repeated as division champion.
Geez.
So it's going to be either Dallas, the Giants, or the Commanders who is going to win the division.
Well, I thought the Commanders closed very well last year. I think they beat the Cowboys, and they played very well. They were the only team to beat the Jets, to beat the Eagles. With Jalen Hurst, they beat Jalen Hurst. Gave him his only loss as a starting quarterback.
But they're so inconsistent. I understand what you're saying. When they look good, they are good. I agree with that.
Their defense is good.
But they are not. They don't do it every game.
Derek Carr could fit in with the Commanders too.
Ooh, I would like that. That's a good one.
I would hate that, of course.
Oh, well, of course you would. That's why I like it, Joe.
There you go. So finally, it's time for the way too early Super Bowl predictions for next year. You got one? Anybody?
Man, we have just barely.
Joe, we haven't even gone through.
I'm going to go out and say,
way too early.
Patrick Mahomes repeats. He's the favorite. Patrick Mahomes gets 3 in a row and gets his name in the next level of goatness with Tom Brady. So I'm putting it out there. Right. If I had to bet anybody, I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. Well, I kind of like Cincinnati in that conference.
I like Cincinnati in the AFC, and the NFC is wide open.
You can get them at 8-1 odds.
And I'm thinking that in the end. Okay, so in the AFC, I like Cincinnati. In the NFC, I think it's going to be wide open, and it's going to be a team that nobody's going to say, and I'm going to say New York Giants.
Okay.
I'm going to go with
Chicago.
I like
Chicago. Our producer
Detroit.
over here is telling me Chicago.
No chance.
Yeah, you get them at 100-1 right now, and a free hamburger at the Jack in the Box.
They better have 5 picks in the draft in the first round.
Well, they have the first pick of the draft. But look at Detroit has two first round picks, and they played great. They just shore up their defense a little bit. You can get them right now at 28-1 odds.
Wow, that would be great. Yeah, that's a good one.
They were 125 last year.
No, it's still 100. 28-1's great.
Well, the team I'm going to pick in the NFC East, of course, is Dallas. So I got Cincinnati and Dallas in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid, Joe.
Yeah, you can get them. You and everybody else, Dallas, they got 12-1 odds right now. The Cowboys are going to do it.
I got 18, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Pretty good. That's not bad. Okay, moving on. Did you know that there is more football? You're Big Rich, you were worried about there not being any football anymore. The XFL begins its league Saturday.
I don't know if I can wrap my mind around that right now. It's just
odds are out.
I know, but Joe, they're just it just reminds me of the WWE XFL. I mean, I don't know. Are they going to go in that way? Are they going to try to kind of copy the USFL? Because USFL is a great success.
No, they're actually going to be very normal, and you'll recognize many of the coaches, and it should be entertaining. And we'll learn more as the season progresses and comment more on it.
Okay, as the football analyst, I will have information on the XFL next week.
Okay. So, Gator, what's the news from the National Hockey League?
Okay, well, for betting purposes, I would have to say the biggest news is Vladimir Tarasenko went from St. Louis to the Rangers, and in his first game, Joe, he scored against Seattle 2 minutes and 49 seconds into the game at home. So, welcome to New York.
Yeah, I guess St. Louis must not be doing very well because he's a really good player. And they just got rid of him. So.
Yeah, they've been struggling, Joe. I don't see him. They'd be very, very lucky to make the playoffs, if that.
Oh, okay. Did you see the great Sidney Crosby got his first ever game misconduct Saturday?
I sure did, Joe.
He got ejected from a game.
That's amazing. All those years, I don't know exactly how many years, and I don't even want to guess, but bam, one. That's his first one.
Didn't he win the Lady Bing for being most gentlemanly one?
Yeah.
Now he got him misconduct.
When you push somebody's buttons, Joe, everybody has that in them, don't they?
Yeah. So a lot of chattering out on that ice that day. So who's hot?
Okay.
Who's cold right now in the NHL?
Well, Joe, I only have 4. I usually try to get 5 hot and 5 cold, but I only have 4 hots right now because a lot of them are kind of in the middle. But Carolina's 8-1 in their last 9. Ottawa 6-1 in their last 7. Joe, they're hot. The Rangers 5-0, and I expect that to keep going.
Right.
And New Jersey, they're 4-1.
Okay.
We have several teams that are 3-0, Joe.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I didn't put them on there.
So those are the hottest. Who should we be betting against right now?
Okay, well, interesting. Last year I had Buffalo on my list, on the cold list all the time, and I don't know if this is the first time or the second time that I have Buffalo on there, but they're 0-4 right now. Columbus is 1-5, and we have 4 teams that are 1-4. We have Chicago, Minnesota, Seattle, and Vancouver.
Well, Seattle's cooling off. How about that?
It's after the All-Star break, Joe, I tell you.
Yeah.
This All-Star break
like
messes everybody up.
It's like a brand new season now.
Well, and then we still have that trade deadline coming up on March 5th.
And then there's another brand new season.
Well, and and if you're asking me what's going on, and there's just a lot of talk about trades and people sitting and stuff, but none of it is concrete, so it's just hearsay talk.
We still have a couple more weeks.
Grab a couple
before
more
the
weeks,
trade
correct.
deadline. Okay. Well, Gator, your predictions went 6 out of 10 last week, putting you at a grand total of 119-61 for the season. That's 66.1%.
Very good.
All right.
The Gator line.
What are your picks for this week?
Okay, Joe, here we go. Thursday, I have one game. I have Carolina over Montreal.
Okay.
Friday, I have one game. I have Ottawa over Chicago.
All right.
Saturday, I have 3. I have Dallas over Columbus. By the way, I did have Dallas losing twice last week and hit both of them.
Okay, and Dallas is in first place.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
Pretty bold.
That's why I want to say that. Correct. Toronto over Montreal. And LA over Arizona.
All right.
Sunday, I have one game. I have Toronto over Chicago. That's in Toronto, so you're probably not going to get that great of a price.
Right.
Boston over Ottawa. You might get a good price on that one.
Right, because Ottawa's playing well.
Mm-hmm. That's Monday, by the way, guys. I'm sorry. Monday, I have 2 games. That's Boston over Ottawa, and I have the Rangers over Winnipeg. And you might get a good price on that because Winnipeg is playing very good.
Okay.
And then Tuesday, I have 2 more, Joe. I have Carolina over St. Louis. We just talked about St. Louis. And I have New Jersey over Montreal. So I have Montreal 3 times this week. Losing.
Okay.
Well, Gator, this is the first week you did not dog on the San Jose Sharks. So just I appreciate
No,
you.
San Jose is playing all right now.
Okay.
A little scary. They're not the greatest team, I'm telling you, but they are scary. They're playing a little better.
Okay. Big Rich, what were the big stories from the National Basketball Association?
Well, I think it was just a crazy trade deadline, didn't you think? I mean, it was almost taking over the the Super Bowl in sports headline news and everything and that sort. So I thought that Kyrie Irving. I'm just going to go some of the big ones. Kyrie Irving goes to Dallas. I think that was a great trade, but I think Dallas, they jumped from over 20-1 to 12-1 to win the national championship. And then Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix, and they went to now Phoenix is 5-1. They were over. I think they were at 20 or 18-1 before the trade. Russell Westbrook goes to Utah. No, why Utah wanted him, but the Lakers say thank you very much, and they get D'Angelo Russell, Beasley, and Vanderbilt, which these guys are all under the age of 26, young players. 2 of them are first-round picks, and Vanderbilt was a second-round pick. So D'Angelo Williams was drafted by the Lakers as the number 2 pick overall in 2015, and he came and had a great first game, even though Lillard had a better game and they beat him. And Eric Gordon goes to the Clippers. So I think the Clippers, that's a good pickup for them. Mm-hmm. And there's some other trades, more backup, small trades, backup players. But those are the main headlines of who's moving. And right before the NBA All-Star game, everybody has a New Jersey, it seems like.
Right. D'Angelo Russell back in L.A., and he's happy with that. Westbrook out on that deserted island in Utah, I'm sure he's miserable. But,
they did get a first-round pick from the Lakers in 2027 for that, so...
Well, I don't know. Utah, I thought they were just going to dump him immediately for the salary reasons. But
right.
Apparently, they have to hang on to him at least to the end of the year.
Right.
And we have the NBA All-Star Game Sunday. If people want to watch that, there are no odds out on that yet. But that's usually no defense. You can just go ahead and slam dunk all you want, shoot 3-pointers all you want.
Nobody's in the paint.
No.
I mean, it's going to be sad because Stephen Curry's not going to be there, and he just, to me, when he had that shootout where they were shooting from half court, just about, I think that was my.
So anyway, enjoy the game and
bet some. He always was the 3-point contest usually.
Bet some squares.
I think it's going to be a good. It's always good entertainment. So take it for what it is.
We won't know who's on what team till right before the game. They're going to do like you do out in the schoolyard.
Oh, you get to pick your players.
Pick players, yes, and we.
Well, no one's taking Russell Westbrook. I tell you right now, he'll be still on the sidelines with Charles Barkley.
So we don't know what the total is going to be, but usually it's super high, probably around 330 or something like that. But,
usually,
there's a weird rule in the fourth quarter too, where you add 24 to the highest scoring team, and then when that team gets to that particular number, that's when the game ends, which is that's the Kobe Bryant rule, apparently.
Okay.
Very strange.
Sure.
But, yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
if anybody's watching at that point,
Rich, what's up in college basketball?
Well, before we get to that, I want to talk just a little bit about how hot the Bucks are. Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, sure.
They have won 11 straight.
Oh, the hot knot.
And okay. Phoenix is 7-3 without Kevin Durant. And they're only one game behind your Sacramento Kings.
Uh-oh.
So they're making a run. And another hot team you got to look at is Cleveland. They've won 7 in a row, and they add up their last 10. So they're playing really good in Cleveland, good defense, and McCollum's a great pickup for them.
Okay. And who should we kind of be betting against?
Well, you definitely want to bet against San Antonio. They've lost 13 in a row. And anytime Houston gets on the court, that's a good bet the other way. So.
Okay. Those Texas teams, except for Dallas.
But they don't play any defense, but they sure are entertaining.
Okay. And in college hoops?
Well, I'm going to give you guys another sink or swim as we start. Alabama is number 1 in football for the very first time.
In basketball?
In basketball. Not in football,
Not
of
in
course.
football.
But in basketball. Is this their first time being number 1 as a college basketball team?
I would say so. I don't remember any other time.
I think I kind of read somewhere that maybe 20 years ago they were number 1.
20 years
Show
ago?
the answers again. Correct. 2002. They were ranked number 1 at one time during the year. So great job, Joe. They are ranked number 1 for 1 week, and I've been telling you they're like my favorite team in SEC. I don't know if they're the number 1 team, but number 2 is
handed them a pretty big loss.
A pretty big shellacking.
But that was out of conference, so we don't.
In
really
Norman,
need to count that.
maybe they just don't do well in Oklahoma. I don't know, but that was sure a surprise to me. But Houston just barely got notched out. They're number 2, and they are actually right now at 6-1 to win the national championship, where Alabama's 9-1. Purdue drops to 3. They're still got a good team. They just had a tough loss to Northwestern on the road. So, I mean, that's not a bad loss. They only have 3 losses on the year. But the big surprise, UCLA jumped up to number 4 after beating Oregon and Eugene on the road. So that was a big win for them. And then Arizona dropped all the way to 8 because they lost to the Stanford Cardinal. So that was a tough loss for them. They dropped to 8. Kansas moves to 5. Texas moves to 6, but they lost in Lubbock, Texas. They lost to Texas Tech. Virginia's at 7 and Baylor 9. Tennessee is at 10, and another you got hosed on that. They have the best defense in the league. They only averaged giving up 50 points a game. They held Auburn to like 38 in one game. Great defense. But Missouri comes in and beats them 96 to something. So who knows? Throw that stat out the window. I mean, they were only 44 points over what they usually give up. So you got to watch the Missouri Tigers, especially when they're at home. They're always a good home. If you get Missouri Tigers at home with plus points, is always a good bet. And I'm just getting in. All right. I will be giving out Saturday games by Friday because I can't give out the spreads yet. We'll put them on the website. We'll give Big Rich's top 5 picks. We need to make some money. If you lost money on the Super Bowl, you lost money in football like you normally do, you always make it up in basketball unless you have a William Hill app because you can't get paid and you can't make a bet right now. And so I don't know how my cousin's going to make the rent because he can't bet. So I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe we can get a loan from William Hill. I don't know.
Oh, no, yeah.
But we can't stop without basketball, without saying about the New Mexico Lobos, State Lobos, canceling the remainder of their season for hazing. First-year head coach Greg Hare is gone. And it's not his fault because it was a 3-on-1. And this is what the police report reads: false imprisonment, harassment, and sexual contact, where they pulled his pants down, spanked him on his butt, and hit his scrotum. So that is actually in the police report. Come on, New Mexico State, get your stuff together. Come on. I mean,
I've actually heard worse than that, but things involving like broomsticks and stuff. But that's.
I think that was in the penitentiary. That was actually not in the New York State Penitentiary.
Not in this
particular case. But I want to tell you about one other team I want you to put on your radar is Miami. Hurricanes.
Yep.
They made it to the Sweet 16 last year. You can get them right. They just beat North Carolina and they beat Duke by 30 almost. I think it was 24. And you can get them right now to win it all at 66 to 1 odds. I think that's a good outside, not bad putting $10 on that or $20 on that. It might be a good payday. You have a dark horse in the
maybe something to hedge down the road, possibly.
Joe, you can't hedge until you at least get to the
final.
Joe is already hedging, and we haven't even got to the. We're not even in March yet. So, but March Madness is our next big thing, and we'll be talking more about that. And I'll get with my producer if we can get something about. I think we have to get some bets out there, and we have to give a shout out to our local team here in Nevada, Wolfpack. They are now 13-0 at home. Great job out there in Nevada land. They actually have 2 picks to get in the top 25, but they're moving their way up and see how they can finish out the season.
All right. So Gator, the Great American Race, NASCAR's Daytona 500 is this Sunday. What will that be like?
Well, hopefully, Joe, this year is just as competitive as last year. That was fun last year. Now, NASCAR will start its 75th anniversary with the Great American Race Sunday. This year, we need to be watching for the generational shift. Now, what I mean about this, Joe, is that Kurt Busch has retired.
Right.
Concussions, that's right. Jimmy Johnson, he's mostly retired, pretty much.
Well, he doesn't even have a sponsor. So he doesn't even have a sponsor.
He's going to try to race this Sunday.
Yes.
Under Legacy Club or something.
And Kevin Harvick is going to end his career after this year, Joe.
Yeah.
After this season. So now Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski are still racing, but they are trying to get into team ownership. So that's what I'm talking about. The average age is around 30 now. And in the 1990s, Jeff Gordon was the only driver to keep the average age around 40. Now, Joey Logano said that he is 32 years old and he's looking around and he's one of the old guys now.
Yeah. That's kind of a shame.
Well, we'll see what these young guys do. They seem to be very fearless. And
time to get some new favorite drivers.
Some new blood. That's what. So we're going to have to start paying attention to that this year, and a lot of drivers, Hall of Fame drivers too, Joe. This might be their last year. I'm liking the Chevys, Joe. The books are liking the Fords, but I'm going to take the Chevys. And here's another thing, Joe. These cars are kind of new. They're the same cars as last year, but a lot of safety issues and things like that. So we haven't seen these cars yet, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I am going to take Chase Elliott at 12-1. But I also do like Tyler Reddick at 18-1.
Okay, you got a prediction there, Big Rich?
Well, I am the only one at the table who's 1-0, and I did pick
Martin Truex
to win. Yes, he didn't win one race, and then I did
Exhibition
clash.
Yes.
But, so I did get that one correct. So I think I should get a pick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's go with, like you said, the books like the Fords because the Fords have won 3 out of the last 5 and 4 out of the last 7 in Daytona.
Correct.
So I'm going to stick with the Fords because I like who's hot. That's why I took Kansas City. They were playing hot, and I'm going to stay with Joey Logano. I'm going to take the old guy.
I thought you were going to take Ryan Blaney.
No, I'm going to stay with Joey Logano. He's very, very good, and now he's the most experienced racer just about on the track. So.
Well, that's the Daytona 500. It's like having the Super Bowl the first week of the season, the
Right.
biggest race. So it's
Exactly.
definitely worth a watch.
They have all winter to get those cars prepared.
Yeah, and they'll 7.5 is the total on cautions. They usually have that big wreck, maybe 2 or 3 big wrecks. I don't know if these guys want to wreck in these cars. Apparently, it's very
Dangerous?
Yes, very concussion prone.
Very dangerous.
If you get hit from the back, it really rattles your cage. So
Well, what is
they might be a little more careful. out
Kyle Busch going to race with a pistol?
there. Jeez.
Did you leave that in Mexico?
I don't know if he got to take that home or not.
I think that's a role-playing game.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
lawyer-
they call Car Wars. It's a role-playing
Yeah.
game.
Okay, but there are numerous props available on the Daytona 500.
Well, I don't know if we'll be able to bet them if William Hill doesn't have their portal up.
Just gotta walk up to the window and see if they're open, I guess.
Okay, that's what I'll be doing.
All right.
Don't yell at the ticket rider.
Okay. Gator. It's not the ticket writer's fault. You're right. Gator. Last week, Scotty Scheffler defended his title at the Waste Management Phoenix Open on the PGA Tour, which was made a little more interesting by a male streaker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was funny.
Couldn't have been a female, huh? Had to be a male.
Yeah. But,
Maybe that was the guy from New Mexico State running from the other 3. I don't know.
this week, tour goes to Genesis Invitational at Riviera Country Club, Pacific Palisades, California. Who's going to make the tournament interesting there?
Morikawa.
Yes, I was going for Tiger Woods personally.
Okay.
But yeah,
But yeah, see, he's going to
You're-
make it interesting, too.
you're gonna pick Morikawa to win.
Well, I'm just picking him to make it interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're gonna watch Tiger Woods, you better watch Thursday and Friday. I don't think he makes the cut personally. I don't know if there's going to be a bet on that. Maybe it's even money. I'd like to see that. But
Well, if he's playing,
Joe,
definitely the ratings will be
when
up.
was the last time he made a cut?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
That was
See,
on
that's
his
what I'm talking
That was
about.
on his grass when he was pushing his lawnmower last time he made a cut.
When's the last time he's even played in a regular tournament? It had to be a major. It had to be
I think it was the Masters.
British Open, I guess.
Maybe the Masters.
Yeah, he sells tickets.
He definitely sells tickets. So Gator, did you want to do Six Nations, or we want to just save it up for next week? There's no race.
No. Let's do it.
Okay,
I want
well,
to do it. Come
Six
on.
Nations. We, rugby. We're huge rugby fans. There aren't any games this week, but there were some games last week.
We kind of ran over it real quick yesterday or last week anyway.
Yeah, but we had results last Saturday and Sunday. We had Scotland winning.
Okay, yeah, Scotland was at a -5.5, and they won 35-7 over Wales. Now, this was the first time Scotland has won their first 2 opening matches, since 1996, Joe.
Yes.
That is just amazing to me.
Our best Scotland team.
Right, now Wales
A long
did dominate the territory in the first half, and also the time of possession, which, in rugby, that's like everything. But Wales did get to the 22-meter line several times, Joe, and just could not get that try. They did get their one and only try in the 34th minute. So 40 minutes is your first half, 40 minutes for the second half. So pretty close to halftime.
Credit Scotland's defense.
Oh, yes, very much so. Especially, yeah, exactly.
And let's see, we had England beating Italy. We had Scotland.
Oh yeah, that's right. Joe and I both had Scotland to win.
And we
correct?
both had Italy plus the 17.5. They lost
By 17. Correct. Yeah, so we had that correct too, Joe. England won 31-14. Now England has beaten Italy now 24 consecutive Six Nation matches. Now Italy had 14 penalties, Joe, twice as much as England. Man, if you're going to beat England, you better not have any penalties, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, the team that had the possession... Oh, now this is a great stat, Joe. The team that had the possession during every line-out won. So England went 21-21, and Italy went 14-14. That was a stat that just really shocked the heck out of me, Joe.
That's just good lineouts. Good
Yeah,
playing.
exactly. Good playing.
But the game of the weekend was France at Ireland.
We all got hosed out here because I didn't see this game anywhere. But coming in, France had to run off of 14 straight wins, and 3 of them were against Ireland. Now, Joe and I both agreed that the winner of this game would probably win the whole thing. And this game had surpassed the hype that this was. It was that great. Now, Ireland were at a -4.5, and they were the favorites, and they won 32-19. That has put them as world's number 1. Everybody says the All Blacks from New Zealand are world's number 1. Well, I'm here to tell you, boys, that they beat them in a series last year, and they are the world's number 1, not the All Blacks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the World Cup at the end of the year, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Me too, Joe.
They're number 1 at the Haka, too, apparently.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Anybody ever see the hockey, you need to look it up.
You got to do the New Zealand Haka, for sure. Well, some news from, well, obviously we'll make predictions next week.
Right, there
next
is.
round. There's
right,
a week off this week.
That's correct. They have this week off, and then we'll make our predictions next week. Yes, sir.
Okay. Some news from Major League Baseball. Pitchers and catches reported today. Yay! For baseball fans. Although some had already shown up before anyway. But some other notes. Starting pitcher Yu Darvish staying in San Diego. 6-year, $108 million contract. He'll be joined in the rotation by Michael Wacha, who left Boston. Relief pitcher Alex Reyes, utility man David Peralta have joined the Dodgers. And Amanda Kamikona, former great softball player and coach from California. She's got Hawaiian roots. She's become the hitting developmental coach in Cleveland's minor league system in Arizona. Congratulations to them.
Congratulations.
And thank you to Rockin and Ronnie McKinnon for the information. So, now it's time where we talk about those bets that we thought for sure were going to be winners. Or something was going to happen that was great, and something went terribly wrong. And we ended up not winning. We ended up getting hosed. The segment we call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
Okay, Joe.
You want to start off, Gator?
Sure. Okay. Well, Joe, you know how here we're always talking about instant replay problems in all our sports, hockey, baseball, football, it doesn't freaking matter what it is. Well, England took that to a whole new level this weekend. There were 5 matches in all this weekend where the VAR missed obvious calls. 3 of them pretty much decided the outcome of the match. Now, Arsenal-Brentford was 1-1, but Brentford scored when there was an obvious offsides. Crystal Palace was 1-1 with Brighton. Crystal Palace player clearly had a handball in the penalty area that VAR clearly missed. And West Ham and Chelsea 1-1, and the obvious handball again in the penalty box. So, I would have to say, Joe, if you had any of those games, you got hosed.
Yeah. So the officiating isn't just terrible here in America, is it? No.
Now, that was a whole new level there. If you guys go back and look at some of those instant replays, you'd be shaking your head, even if you're not a soccer fan.
Well, of course, I would like to say something about William Hill, but I'm going to leave that for you, Joe. I think that you have a great, anybody that has a William Hill sports app, you got hosed. But anybody, I'm going to talk about the sports props. I hit all my prop bets. I had over 7.5 yards, Patrick Mahomes' first pass, Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP.
Nice.
And we had, I had both field goal kickers to make 2 field goals. And thank you, Mr. Elliott, for doing your part. And Butner, you hit the goal post on your part. And if he would have, if we went to overtime, we could have had another chance for a field goal, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, plunking a 42-yard field goal in the Super Bowl, I got hosed on that prop.
Yeah, you got it.
If you knew he was going to hit the post, you would have hedged that one on there. You would have won no matter what. That's tough to do. But obviously, the people getting hosed, obviously, are the ones who bet through the William Hill mobile apps. How is this happening? I don't know. Your money is being held hostage. Hopefully you don't need it to pay bills or anything. Of course, your landlord will understand if your rent is late.
Okay.
Right, Big Rich?
Sure.
Yeah, I think he's very understanding.
So, people who bet through the mobile apps are getting completely hosed.
You got hosed.
So, that's it for the show. I'd like to thank Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, all our contributors, our editor, producer, and engineer Cornelius, and all you listeners out there. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.